The country is recovering from the impact of two hurricanes, and those affected are being helped by local, state, and federal efforts, including FEMA. The disasters became part of the political discussion while people are trying to get their lives back on track. Joining us now is Cheyanne Daniels. She is the race and political reporter for our media partners at The Hill. Cheyanne, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you've been reporting about the politicization of the storms. What have you found?
Yes, so what we're seeing is this is, of course, impacting the presidential election. We are hearing from former President Trump concerns that the federal government is not stepping in as much as it needs to. While on the other hand, we hear from Vice President Kamala Harris that the federal government is doing what it can to support local governments, particularly the local governments that have seen devastation in their areas. We have heard from FEMA. We have also heard from Alejandro Mayorkas, who has asked for this sort of politicization around the hurricanes to stop as the government works to try to provide resources for those who have been impacted. So really interesting, this natural disaster spree, really, that we are seeing in the midst of hurricane season is impacting how people are feeling going into November's critical election.
Cheyanne, what stood out the most in all of this?
You know, what I think is really interesting is that we are suddenly seeing Republicans having a little bit of infighting over the spread of misinformation and disinformation. We're seeing different members calling out not just the former president for comments that he is making, but also calling out other House members. We saw some members calling out Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene for saying that whomever they is, control the weather. We have heard Mitt Romney criticize former President Trump for some of his comments. So we're starting to see this sort of schism in the Republican Party, as many are saying, you know, the focus right now needs to be on providing resources, on providing healing and moving forward for these communities that have just been ravaged by these storms.
You touched on this briefly, but your thoughts on the presidential campaign's responses?
Yes, I think that both are trying to play to their strengths, right? We know former President Trump really wants to try to say that the current administration, the Biden-Harris administration, isn't doing enough, particularly in these places where we see it's the southern communities, you know, many of whom have leaned Republican in previous elections. He's really trying to speak to his base in those areas to say this is why you can't trust Kamala Harris to be president. On the flip side of that, we see the vice president saying, here is what our government under the leadership of herself and President Biden have been doing, and this is why you should vote for them, vote for her in November. So really trying to lean into what she's currently doing. But again, I think at this moment, a lot of the voters in these areas are frankly more concerned about, oh, who's just going to come here to help us at this moment.
You know, Cheyanne, when you see people who are directly impacted by the storm, many losing everything that they own, posting on social media about FEMA and their misunderstanding of that initial $750, do you think that they are, I look at them as victims of the misinformation. How do you see it?
I agree 100% with that. And I think some of this just speaks to the larger issue maybe that we have in general around disinformation and misinformation in election years and who it reaches, right? It's those who don't have access. It's those who don't have resources to the proper information. And so, you know, I think this is something going forward that as a whole, as a country, as campaigns, candidates look for election is how do we get the information that folks need to them when they need that information.
And moving forward, Cheyanne, quickly, is there a learning opportunity for people impacted by future storms based on what we saw with these two hurricanes?
I think one of the biggest things that we're hearing is wanting folks to be able to evacuate, right? That was a huge concern from local leaders in these communities, was trying to find ways to evacuate, make sure that people are getting out before the storms hit. You know, I think in some cases it was a little hard, particularly with Milton, right? Folks didn't have a lot of time to be able to leave. There was concerns around whether there would be gas, for instance, fuel for people to leave. And so I think it just sort of looks toward, especially as hurricane season continues, is what can you stock up on in the meantime? Or is there any way that you can be looking forward to say, here's what I need to make sure I have if I'm unable to evacuate the area? Things of that nature. It's just how prepared can we be?
Cheyanne Daniels, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.